All right, and it is officially 8:12 p.m. Eastern Time. I got a few messages from a few people, really close people of mine, telling me, "You can't be doing this, my guy. It's starting the show late. It's 12 after, my guy. You had to start 12 minutes ago, my guy." Well, friends, family, community, I apologize. You know what I'm saying? I had to use the little boy's room, and that didn't go over too well. But we are live and in action. So, that being said, I do have Ryan waiting in the back room, just chilling and all that good stuff, having a good old time. But before we get to him, I do want to, go over some of the rules and regulations of these interviews because, I try to keep these things as professional as I can, as professional as possible. Y'all know how I try to do these things. So, yeah, that being said, all right, please, guys, if you have questions for Ryan, all right, write them on a piece of paper, write them on the notes of your phone, write them on the notes of your computer, whatever you got to do. Just write them down and set them to the side. All right. Do not, I repeat, do not fill the chat area with questions. All right. Because I'm not going to ask them, I'm not going to bring them up, I'm not going to go over them until after the actual interview. All right. So, besides that, let's try to keep the respect in the chat area. All right. Obviously, if there's stuff going on in the chat area that doesn't involve or have anything with the actual interview or Ryan or his channel or anything along those lines, just either don't write it, or if the moderators can please help moderate anything that has nothing to do with the actual interview or Ryan himself, that would be great. So, because I know a lot of people like to troll on these interviews and all that good stuff, mods have my full uh, permission to pretty much like timeout as see fit, or if you need to ban somebody, go ahead and you can do that too. You have my full permission because if it's one thing I'm not going to allow in here is trolling of any kind while I'm conducting an interview with one of the members of the community who's out here doing what they do. I'm not going to allow the person to be disrespected that way, and I'm not going to allow, any disrespect in general to the community and the movement. So, uh, yeah. That being said, I'm gonna try to share the tab with the channel of Ryan's channel over here. So just give me 1 second. All right, bear with me. Just give me 1 second. All right. All right, guys. Sorry about that. I apologize. The Wi-Fi connection was a little faulty there, but we're back. All right. That being said, I'm about to show my face real quick. I am in the living room, so I do apologize for any extra noise or sounds that you might hear. All right, I do apologize in advance for that. But putting that aside, we're gonna get to the interview right now. All right, and I'll be bringing in Ryan in right now. So, all
Hello, what's
right,
up?
what's up, my friend?
How you doing?
Can-
I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. I was about to check if I could hear you actually. So, all right, Ryan from NVCap. Um, my friend, would you like to do me the honors of formally presenting yourself as the regular human being and person that you are, aside from all the catching stuff? Uh, where do you live? You know what I'm saying? Obviously, don't give your address away. You already know that. But
Yeah.
the normal stuff, like tell me like a little bit more about yourself, how your mind works, stuff that you're into, your upbringing, your morals and values. Just give me like a little tour of your mind, your heart, your soul, all right, and you as a person.
Oh, wow, it's a tough question. Well, I was born. I don't know. Pretty much, I lived in Massachusetts my entire life. Um. Uh. Yeah. I mean, I did all kinds of things like Uber drive. I was an Uber driver. Did like food delivery recently. Not too interesting stuff, but I mainly get into programming. I'm trying to get into like Android development, like making Android apps. But I guess uh I did kind of get interested in predator catching like I think like a couple years ago, like 2 years ago.
Wait. Before we get to that, and and I'm glad that you're so passionate about that area of your life that you're just ready
It
to
has been.
on that get on that skateboard right there, man. But before we get to that, because the thing is, when I bring you guys on this show and for these interviews, I really do try to give the crowd and the viewers, a better idea of the person behind the catches because everybody knows, you know what I'm saying, like what you do, and they respect you for what you do. They give you props, they give you support for what you do. But many people like, they want to know like the you know what I'm saying. So before we get to any of that information, which I'm glad once again that you're so passionate about it that you brought it up right away. Like for starters, you know, how old are you? Because you have like a baby face, you know what I'm saying, going on, and I'm like, yo, this dude got to be like 23 or something like that, 20, 22. I don't know like your age. I don't know, you know, uh,
uh
your
26,
upbringing. Yep.
7. Yeah, I'm 26, 27. Um yeah, so trying to think. Um
And you
yeah, I
can take your
mean,
time, bro. Yeah, there's no rush.
all right, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, I guess I don't know. I guess I was born and raised in Massachusetts. Um starting starting to talk about predator catching. Yeah. It's like
I know,
it's
bro. I
like I
know. I
think
know
that
you want to get
it's like
to
I
it.
think that's my entire life. I'm like I was born and I caught predators and now I'm here. But man, but yeah, it's kind of from Marlboro. It's like a city in central Massachusetts, kind of near a little more near Boston. I just
Okay.
remember Boston being close. I never liked Boston. Terrible to drive in. Like I don't know, never was a Boston person. A lot of people I don't know, not really a Boston person. Kind of more of a New York City person. If I could, I went there a lot. Um, yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I guess like field I'm kind of going into is like programming. I want to see if maybe I can have some kind of application there. But I actually think that I guess I feel like my motivation going into it's kind of slightly not directly, but
Right. Right.
indirectly
Right.
related. But I'm kind of very politically active. kind
Okay.
of a little bit. Um, so I feel like that kind of motivation, kind of wanting to see something change and knowing that the only kind of change that's going to happen is if we actually get up and do something. It's not going to just happen like when you see other people do it. It really does need to happen when it's kind of like I feel like it was like the 2016. I should get too political, but like I feel like in the 2016 election was when like I really felt like there was nothing. It was like this feeling that was like nothing was going to happen until people really like mobilized and did something. So kind of that same motivation kind of goes in predator catching because it's kind of like it's like I still feel that literally nothing will happen unless we do it. We need to do something. Like no one else is going to do something. Like or at least like not that no one else is going to do something, but kind of that average everyday people, um, they just uh, they just they don't they don't necessarily know how to navigate what to do. They don't necessarily know how to mobilize the situation. I think predator catching really is kind of a new way to show kind of the awareness. Oh, sorry, I went right to it. Kind of show the awareness on the issue. Um, but it's kind of, I guess it kind of comes from wanting to see change and knowing that the only kind of change is going to happen is by directly getting involved. By directly pushing the needle.
All right. And I'm a huge believer in being like you're saying, like pretty much standing up for what's right, and not only standing up for what's right, but actively doing something about it. Because I could sit here all day and be like, yo, rapists and murderers should, have their balls cut off. Yeah, I could say it out all day, but what am I actually going out there like and doing to like make? I'm not saying that's what I want to. I'm just saying, like for people who have pretty much like an opinion or like a suggestion, recommendation to certain types of acts of crime or whatever, what besides saying it in social media, besides being a keyboard warrior and typing it out and sharing and all that, what are we like really doing to make what matters to us happen or make it a reality out in the open world? So I'm a huge believer in that. I do support that train of thought that you have going on there. Which I guess kind of brings me to my next point is the fact that you brought that up on your own, which I didn't even like ask, but you brought it up on your own, that you're like someone like very political and all that, which I do respect. I have my own opinions about that, but I do respect the fact that you want to see positive change. You want to see like a change in the world, right?
Yeah.
So because of that, I gotta ask, that's why I kind of brought it up earlier. How was like your actual upbringing? Because to have a mind like that and to have a heart like that, I'm assuming or want to assume that you had to have a positive, loving, comforting upbringing. I mean, would I be correct by saying that, or am I assuming wrong?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my parents were great. My family was great. Um, it's kind of it got a little complicated in the end, but me and my dad are in really good terms together, and my brother and everything. Uh, they kind of were in law enforcement. My mother was kind of in business. Um, you know, um, and yeah, I mean, actually, I kind of would be like the only one to be really like as politically active as I was. And also they were kind of on the total other end of the spectrum. Like they were very conservative. I'm very, like kind of on the other side, like very progressive and everything. So, um, like, so I guess like, not necessarily like a line there, but yeah, I think like, they did, you know, they did, instill a lot of, positive things, I think, in my life, my mind, I think that I give them a lot of credit, um, kind of would have to say that, but, yeah, yeah, kind of like yeah, kind of would be like the one to like disagree with everyone pretty much like in the family or whatever because and that's kind of like when I kind of started like getting politically active kind of but uh you know and yeah actually like my brother and father are in law enforcement and um actually something that's true is they don't approve at all of predator catching at all they're not they like actually like something crazy is stuff like like that would kind of be obvious. People would know about like if anything they would see on a channel, whatever, like anything they know about my involvement in predator catching, they would be hearing for the first time if you told them. Like they don't know like anything. I don't tell them. It's just
Interesting.
kind of like I know where they stand and I respect where they stand. And I remember like my brother's like really kind of saying like, "Are you sure about that? It's not a good idea." Like and I mean, all I could think of to say was like the word like "I understand," and that's like all I said because I didn't really want to get into an argument because it was like kind of late at night. But I kind of just said like I understand because it's like it is kind of. I mean, it is kind of like dangerous and everything, and I hear their points and everything. But it's kind of like my will to do it exceeds that. It's kind of like I really feel that this is journalism. We have the right to do it, and that constitutional right to do this kind of journalism is in total jeopardy. And it's kind of like fighting for that, and also fighting for the issue that that kind of journalism fights for and is an activist for is another big issue. Yeah, I
That
feel like I've been talking too
was.
long.
No, you good, bro. You good. I'm just listening to you. So, all right. So you mentioned you have a brother, then. All right. You know, and not to like really like rewind too far back here and kind of like backpedal in the actual interview. But now that you brought that up, within all that information that you kind of like laid upon us, are we talking about like an older brother here, younger brother,
Older.
older brother? Okay. All right, and he sees you what you're doing and all that, and I'm pretty sure based upon what you said, I want to assume that he's got respect for you, for still going that route because uh, I think, in my opinion, if I had, let's say it was my brother doing this, right, doing the interviews and potentially going on catches or whatever, I see him doing not only a positive thing for the community, but and I know it would be like himself, like endangering himself, right? But the fact that he's separating this piece of his time out of his daily life to actually like go out there and do that, I would certainly have like mad respect for him, So I want to assume that your brother has that same respect for you.
Honestly, it's literally just discouragement. They don't think it's a good idea. It's just like it's to the point where if I were to talk about it at all, it would just turn into a kind of an argument. That's it. Like that's all the standing is. Like even anything, like I literally don't talk about bird catching at all,
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
because of how kind of much of a disagreement it is. So no, like I respect their stance and see why that's kind of their role too. But it's like it's not like no, there's really no standing with them in any way supporting. Not
So
and honestly, in my opinion, I don't see that as a bad thing necessarily. It's kind of just what it is. It's like you can support or not support what you want. And
right.
it's kind of like it's hard to explain, but it's kind of like it just it makes sense kind of from their perspective. I can see where they're coming from, and it's like it's not something I'm trying to like fight or whatever. Like if it was something where but it's kind of like their role kind of is to discourage predator catching, I guess. So, but to an extent, it's like, yeah, I mean, they have no standing with it.
Interesting, very interesting. And I apologize. I think I phrased the question wrong because what I was actually trying to ask or like say or get at is, what I'm saying, maybe somewhere deep down in their heart, what I'm saying, they would like to like support you and all that. But I hear what you're saying though. I hear what you're saying. And like you said, once again, it does make somewhat sense because, I'm pretty sure they knew, what I'm saying, and if they really had like a good grasp of what you do, they would be highly concerned with your life, for your safety, and all this other stuff that comes along with doing any of this. All right, hold on. We gotta. I usually don't do this, but it's actually like a good point that Sweet Baby raised, just kind of like laid upon us with the $5 donation. Of course, I do appreciate that, sir. But yeah, he says, can everyone that really supports and cares about PP Ryan please write aliens exist in the live? PP Ryan's assemble. You know, uh, And the reason why I even put that up here is because, like I said earlier before the interview, and I do apologize that I have to interrupt to reiterate what I'm about to say. Guys, please, I know I can't control everything in the chat room or whatever, and I really don't want to be that guy, and I can't do it from here anyways. I can't ban anybody from my side because I'm using StreamYard. I can't time no one out because I'm using StreamYard, right? But let's try to focus on the actual interview, the questions, the answers. Let's focus on Ryan. Let's give him the respect
Yeah.
that he deserves.
Well, I can't say one thing though. I kind of don't mind anything. If I feel like, if there's someone, let's say they like even like disagree or they're gonna say something crazy. There was actually a person who had a, I'm not gonna repeat the name, but I was doing a stream and they actually had a very like, I'm just gonna say the word offensive name,
Right.
not towards me or anything, but and it's kind of started with saying about a bunch of crazy things, and all I did was I engaged with the person. I felt like the person started to have like a conversation at first.
Hmm.
So I never believe in banning anyone. I just
Right.
like, I mean, that's your show, like channel, whatever, like 100% support that, but I don't mind any kind of question, any kind of whatever. I think that like conversation is
Mhm.
ultimate solution to everything. Yeah.
Let me just say this, and I'm pretty sure the OG supporters of this channel like know this to be true to the T. I'm all for free speech. I support it. You know what I'm saying? I actually do engage in free speech myself. Once again, I'm all for it. Now then, the problem comes in where like you can say whatever you want, and I for the most part I try not to even look at the chat area or whatever. But when it comes to an actual interview stream, I do try my very best to not only conduct myself in a professional manner, but I try to hold like the chat area to that same like level of respect for the person who's being interviewed and for the people in the chat area altogether.
Sure.
So yeah, that being said, I don't care what you say or whatever, but let's try. Keyword, let's try to keep it about the interview. Let's try to keep it about Ryan, as much as possible. Whatever happens in between that, it is what it is. I there's people that I don't respect or care for or care about. So I'm not even I'm ignoring, what I'm saying? Every time I see a certain comment or whatever, it is what it is. But just out of respect, let's try to keep things about Ryan in the interview. All right. So that being said, man, okay, so what does NVCAP stand for? What for the new viewers out there who haven't come across your channel just yet? People who are just watching for the first time tonight, what does that NVCAP stand for?
Stands for non-violent citizens against predators.
All right, very nice, very well put. Now, is that something that you came up with yourself, or?
Yeah, I came up with the name, but someone who I owe as much as I do to the creation of InvCap is he wants to remain anonymous, but I kind of call him my associate. But he's in the Berkshires, like kind of where I'm based, and he we both kind of like I kind of thought of the name and everything like that, but we kind of both kind of talked to each other and said, hey, do you want to like start this, do you want to do this, and then we were really on the same page, I think, as far as like what we thought was missing from predator catching, because I feel like the main thing kind of going into MVCap was seeing on the news that just a horrible negative coverage of predator catchers, just calling them vigilantes without even like any kind of trial. Even like I remember like there was an interview or whatever or news segment where he was just like interviewing predators, and like the news guy said like something like, even though he says he isn't like the name, he doesn't choose a name, he is a vigilante, as if it's like fact, and it's like I just want to go against that narrative so much that I wanted to like, I feel like the change that I wanted to see, kind of like when I saw these catches and then seeing the negative coverage, then the cap kind of can be a part of solving that problem, as far as like the perception that it's a vigilante group, by just having, kind of a creating it kind of as an outlet of journalism, thinking so that we're basically investigative journalists, which is constitutionally protected, and we're doing, interviews to gather information that happens to involve the law. Like saying we want to be cops or anything like that. I mean, that's like saying like we're trying to outrun a fish because cops, right? They apply the law to information. We don't do that. We just gather information.
Right.
And cops police take information from, they can take information from citizens with a tip. They can take information from their own investigation. They can sometimes there is a precedent in American history of taking information from journalists, and that's what we are. And I really framing it that way, based on how he done catches. Me and my associate really kind of were a part of like the catches when we were starting. I felt like we're really just hitting it home as far as like actualizing that vision.
That's good, man. Hey, that's by far the best explanation. Not only to the to the name of the channel and the your movement, if you will, but at the same time, it's the best explanation on how to, because we got to learn how to adapt to things, right? I'm pretty sure you would agree to that. We have to learn to adapt to certain situations. So when it comes to giving the news people like a positive outlook on what we're doing or what you're doing, let's say Ghost, Alex, PP Maz, whoever's out there, doing these catches or whatever, give them a different perspective of like what you guys are doing, right? To where it's like, okay, yeah, that seems more professional. That seems more like legitimate. Because when people think about like predator catchers nowadays, right? They think about, oh, people who only humiliating the predator or the pedophile, and like that's it. Sadly, there's a lot of people who look at it that way, right? And so
Yeah,
what you're doing right now is going that other route where it's like, no, 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 hold on. We're doing journalistic type of like takes on this. We're taking that journalist route to this thing, because once you mention journalism and information, and actually looking to get laws changed, when you use words and phrases like that, people are more drawn to like hear what you got to say or be like more supportive. You know what I'm saying? And that skills from people around us, our neighbors, our family members, people in law enforcement. When you phrase things in that manner, you're opening a door, to have people actually like listen to what you have to say and view your content and then make an educated decision from there to say, okay, these guys are doing it, the right way. They're doing it legitimately. They're actually looking for evidence and all that. So yeah, okay, like I'll give them a chance. Versus, oh, this guy made this guy sit on the fire hydrant to humiliate him, and that's it.
Robbie. Yeah.
So,
Actually,
but go ahead.
actually,
Yeah,
actually, you mind if I like kind of explain some of that? Is like
yeah, go ahead.
so something I kind of do think is necessary is we have to kind of have some kind of like generally a couple of the missions of MVCAP is to kind of instead have this weird awkward thing between the government and predator catchers where it's like, all right, we got to figure out what to do, and then like we're gonna have this weird dance where the government's gonna call the vigilantes and they have to prove themselves that they're not, and then da da da, and then eventually they start working together, and it's just kind of a mess. Like, why don't we have something? We have like something beforehand set up, some kind of compliance guidelines where it's like they can be separated that you're doing it the right way or you're doing it the wrong way. And, maybe there could be some kind of rating system, something like that. But I think that we can start now. And that's why, I do value, like people in your kind of sector is it kind of allows discussion of the stuff.
Hmm.
Without that, we're literally just going looking with tunnel vision and just making our trial and error on our own. Otherwise, we kind of put our heads together where, a good example of that, I saw a catch where Courtney Elizabeth got like hurt, whatever. She was in a car with a predator, and I did the exact same thing like a couple weeks ago, and I remember seeing that. And I'm like, it's like I could have
Hmm.
been me. Like,
Exactly.
and then right after that, it resulted in a robbery. Like I
Hmm.
was in a catch where turned into a robbery. Person stole a phone, got attacked, and it's like putting our heads together is kind of the first step to figuring out what is the right thing to do, what is the wrong thing to do, so that then we can approach our government. We can then have something of substance to say. Be like, we've learned from our experience that this is what you should do, this is what you shouldn't do, and then something can be built, you know, from there. I think that we have to kind of have a standard of, not necessarily like who should be able to be doing this or who shouldn't be able to be doing this,
Right.
but I would say this, um, you know, uh, as far as like, and I'll say it, the Rami situation, like, it's been kind of identified that he had a criminal past, but like, let's say he was doing all of his catches in a perfect way and like kind of just like, just kind of journalism that wasn't really an issue. I would have never made an issue of that ever. It's just I really like when after you see crime on camera, it then kind of makes you look like, and all I did was I use the same thing that channels public records, and they're public records that I would look at for predators, and I said, who is this guy committing crimes like on camera almost every day, you know, and
Mhm.
doing kind of what we do and bring our name down. So I looked them up and I found a bunch of stuff, and I would still, I mean, I believe in rehabilitation as much as possible,
Right.
and still, I mean, as long as he has a pulse, he has hope, So, but
Exactly. That's what I
as of
always
now,
say. Hmm.
right? Um, it's like I'm gonna say what I honestly think, and we all should say what we honestly think, and
Right.
try doing the best way. But we should have kind of, if someone's kind of bringing down the movement, we should have no problem calling that out, and that's not drama. Like drama means that, like you're being dramatic about something,
Hmm.
and objectively making a criticism or saying you have taking issue to something, that's not drama. That's not being dramatic. It's not like yelling at someone and using cuss words or whatever. I mean, I just laid out my my issue basically. What I felt I did, and he actually didn't start out that bad. Like he didn't really start out that bad, like at first, and then he kind of just turned into these disastrous catches. So I don't know. Maybe you know. There could be some point where he realizes this for himself and he can evolve or not, but that's up to him. But I kind of brought the information as kind of a journalist, like I would with anything else, and let people decide for themselves. And just to be clear, Alex did like kind of cover it, like, but we were the source, and the cat was the source. Like we actually had a phone call together about it. But I would even give Rami the opportunity to say his piece. Like maybe, and then maybe that maybe could be honest about like what steps he could take to really have his past not influence how he does catches now. And um, but as of now, like let's do journalism. Let's find out who's bringing down a movement and everything like that. Yeah.
Let me just say this. You brought up something very, very important. All right. And I'm going to try to, you know, let me just say this before I say anything about what I'm going to bring up. I'm not a preacher. I'm not a pastor. I'm not the most, what I'm saying, spiritual person or whatever. But from time to time, I do like to go to like, the word of God and kind of use it as a filter for some of the things that happen within my daily life or like things around me in the world, right? And you know I feel like if this community, right, let's say all the catchers had like no beef, no trouble with each other or whatever, and we were just like one family, right? How it's supposed to be, because I view this as a movement, right? As a powerful movement, right? To protect our children, protect potential victims of these crimes and all that, right? And I see this movement almost like a family, right? That being said, right? I don't know if you're someone of the faith or not, but a lot of people, in the chat, like know I am. Uh, Very briefly, I'm a pastor's kid and all that stuff, right? I grew up in church. I grew up in my faith, and I'm a strong believer of the Word of God, right? And there's a verse in the Bible which I'm going to try to pull up as fast as I can if I'm able to, but I'm going to paraphrase what it says, okay? And I'm going to paraphrase what it says, and I'm going to give it to you in the context which it was meant to be used, all right? So basically, there's a verse in the Bible that talks about if any one of us is weak and feels like they're going to, like fail or like commit like a sin or whatever, or has committed a sin, pretty much like Let the family know. Let the movement know. That way we can help correct, you know what I'm saying, what you did wrong or what you're doing wrong. That way, not only are you stronger yourself, but now the movement itself is stronger as a whole, right? Does that make any sense? So I'm gonna try to pull that up really fast as I can, because I don't want to take too much time looking for this.
Yep. Take your time.
Uh,
But all I gotta say just as you're doing that, like as you're explaining that, I mean that's pretty much I agree with. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much a good way to put it.
So I might spend too much time looking for the verse, but if you know, you know. Like, if you know the Bible, you know what Bible text I'm referring to. All right. But basically, I mean, it's as simple as that, man. It doesn't even have to be like you said earlier, like a drama. It's something so simple as guys, yo, I'm coming to you like as a family member in this movement. um I did this. I know it was wrong for doing it, right? I know I was wrong for doing it. I could really use some encouragement. I could really use some direction. I could really use some comfort, some support, so I can correct what I did wrong. I can kind of like shift, the position I'm in and go ahead the correct route, and like fix myself and do things the right way. It's so simple. It's so simple. I mean, it only takes a genuine person, a humbled person, okay, to come forth and like, yo, it's kind of like someone from going to like Alcoholics Anonymous. I have a problem. I need help. All right, cool. Let's help you. Let's help you to get better. That way, everyone around you is the better for it. So, anyways,
Yeah. Yeah, like kind of it's kind of like that's kind of the way exactly I see it is we kind of started like it kind of started like just total chaos. Everyone was just fighting each other like nonstop. But then you start to see like changes like where after everyone kind of said their piece, everyone kind of you know made their words known. It kind of just had to happen. You see things like Corrado Pit Patrol and Alex kind of making amends, and then even PB Mass when there was kind of an issue with me. Like I feel like I kind of just like after everything was all said, I kind of wanted to I kind of just wanted like more like peace and common goals achieved and working together and like then just like re-saying everything, and it kind of just turned into like you know us like kind of going on catches and everything and kind of focusing on what we agree with and rather we disagree with, but having that in mind so that it can be dealt with at some form. You're not afraid to say it, but you know and I have reason to believe that, like, I don't know, I mean, like the ball's in his court. Anyone's court that's kind of that they're kind of not representing the movement right. It's really in their court to change, to fix, to improve.
let me.
And
I'm sorry to cut you off, but hold your thought. Hold that thought because I have to say something before I forget. Um, in Rami's situation, the and this is me being like a gentleman. This is me being respectful. This is me being 1,000% JDQ. All right. So the best thing in his situation, okay, in his situation, what he should be doing right now is saying, "Yo, I'm gonna like step away from YouTube for a while. I'm gonna go get some therapy. I'm gonna go get some counseling. I'm gonna get some guidance. Have he needs to have his time to like, really fix himself like mentally, spiritually, and all that first, right? Have his time to like his own little there's a word for that, man, but pretty much like remaking himself, pretty much like like just molding himself to a better him, right? And then after a while, if he still wants to do this thing or whatever for like legitimate and genuine reasons, all right, sure, everybody deserves like a second chance or whatever, cool, whatever. Do what you feel is right for you. Do what you feel is best in your situation. But as of right now, yo, this dude should not be on YouTube, period. Like,
yeah,
period with the T. Like that's me once again. That's me being respectful. That's me being a gentleman about it. Okay, that's me being someone that cares for a human being. Maybe not for him because I don't care about him. I don't care for him like that. But as him being a human being, if he truly wants to do better and be a better person, he needs to step away for as long as he can, rebuild himself up. All right, mature. Be a new person. Then afterwards, bro, if you want to give it another try, go ahead.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? That's. I'm sorry. Go ahead and say what you're gonna say, bro. I'm sorry I had
Oh,
you
no,
cut you off.
I was just I agree with you there on the way. But yeah, yeah, I think like this whole I'm kind of bringing up is like we gotta have like the standard, right? Kind of like we're gonna have the standard. We're not gonna be afraid to say anything, right? Um, and we're gonna uphold the standard. And but as far as like him not kind of beating the standard or totally going against it, yeah, I mean we can be forgiving, at the same time, but yeah, it would be true that he can't like but like whatever happens, he would need to be a positive for the movement, not negative for the movement, if he's gonna proceed or be a part of it.
Right.
And when it's kind of like when you know it's something's not helping it, you kind of cut it off like a cancer,
Hmm.
and that's exactly it. Like if we're only gonna accept positives, not negatives, if we're gonna climb this really uphill battle as is. So
Yeah.
100% agree with that.
I appreciate that, bro. I appreciate the sentiment. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's just me being, a caring human being for another human being. Because at the end of the day, he is another human being like you and me. You know what I'm saying? Will he change? I don't know. I highly doubt it, sadly. Usually I'm the type that I'm very optimistic for, people and giving people like second chances and all that. But in his case, it's a very particular case because it's and hopefully we can end, the discussion about him right here, right after
yeah, yeah, yeah.
what I'm about to say. But for someone like him that once again, like in the Bible, they continuously do evil and continuously, you know what I'm saying? They don't have that desire to like change their ways. And it's like they're set in their ways and they just don't want to change. They don't want to seek a transformation and actually be a better version of themselves. They want to stick to doing evil and committing crimes and all that. There's like very little hope, you know what I'm saying? And that's sad to say because I would like to say, oh, he's got another chance. Nah, like for someone like him, he's got little to like no chance to change because he doesn't want that change. He enjoys, you know what I'm saying, being evil. He enjoys committing evil acts. He's like it's like he's drawn to that type of attention. You know what I'm saying? And for people like that, it's like it's really, really difficult for them to change because they get a high off of it. You know what I'm saying? No pun intended, but they get a high off doing evil. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I'm gonna let that right there, and we're gonna put that to the
All
side.
right, yeah,
All right, to never be talked about again.
sure.
But yeah, man. So going back to you and the team. Actually, if I'm even able to say that, when it comes to NVCap, two things, and you kind of hit some of those points earlier, but we're gonna get into a little bit more into detail, right? Number one, what was the actual cause and moment that you were like, I want to do that. Like, I want to go catch like predators. I want to go do journalistic work. I want to be part of this movement. And at the same time, is there any like additional like team members like for like your group, or is it just exclusively you? Do you have like another person that helps you out? Do you have, talk about that?
Yeah. Oh yeah, so I have a lot of things to say there. So yeah, pretty much, yeah, I kind of always had like the same interest into it. Like, again, like I did say, like I feel like the politically active thing was kind of like the same similar motive, but I was like really watching a lot of YouTube videos, but also I was watching a lot of interrogation videos, and like kind of ways that they kind of get information, and thinking there's kind of a disconnect, and always like having this kind of like thing that irked me where I did see there was something wrong with predator catching, and like um how it could be maybe leveled with the government, kind of like where it's not just like it's like if we do this in a way that's constitutionally protected and we brand it as that, then they can't really say what they're trying to say right now. And I feel like we have to use certain ways to do that. But yeah, the moment where it happened, where it was, I kind of really got interested in it, and basically, I was an Uber driver, right? And it kind of turned to like a moment where I kind of just wanted to be on a catch. That's the thing. It just started with that, and I was actually living in Florida at the time, and I started actually watching like predator poachers and everything, like a lot of it, and I watched a lot of people before that. Actually, my first predator catcher video I think I watched was like Anxiety War. That's
Oh,
like
nice.
way back when.
He's really good.
Yeah, but actually even further. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when To Catch a Predator first came out. But I remember that. But I remember I was actually living in Florida for a little while, and I wanted to just go on a catch, and kind of like a bucket list thing, kind of thing, and and then I moved back to Massachusetts. I was in Florida for a little bit, and then like I guess like it was now the Predator Butchers Massachusetts person who I would talk to about like trying to go on a catch or whatever, saying, "Hey, I could be the driver or whatever." And I was like, "Oh, I could go on a catch." And then what happened was, the moment it kind of like turned into reality was when PB Mass or Predator Poacher Massachusetts at the time was doing a catch. Like they said, it was like out west of Massachusetts, but it was actually in where I was living at the time, the Berkshires, and still am at. And it was like a town next town over. So I was like, okay, like they're actually doing the 100th catch. It was actually the 100th catch.
Oh wow,
Um,
milestone
yeah,
time.
yeah, and I remember it happened, and I actually ended up missing the catch, but that was kind of whatever because I thought like, I'll
Family
I'll go on
guy.
again eventually.
Right.
Yeah. And then right after they did like a meetup or whatever, and then I noticed like I didn't really know what the guy looked like actually, the Predator Poacher Massachusetts guy like looked like at the time, so I wasn't like sure who it would be, but they said he was like, yeah, we're gonna be right here after, and it was then I remember we met then, and I think it was mentioned like I kind of learned about like the whole thing, like how do they do it, like whatever, talking about decoying, and I think and yeah, eventually like at the time it was kind of just like I could help with the catch or whatever to be on a catch, and I remember I think I drove him to like the detectives like once, and then I was gonna be then eventually I was gonna be like doing decoying or something. I think it was like brought up, and I had to like kind of think about like would that be something I would do or whatever, and then um I did it once I think, and then what happened was I think Alex came to Massachusetts for the first time, and that's when actually I was on my first catch, and I was filming.
Mm-hmm.
I was the camera guy. I was kind of like, I don't know if you saw the catch. I was like, it's a serious issue. It's a serious issue. That one. Yeah, I was like really, really hyper on that one. It was like the drone and everything, like trying to gather information. And and it was pretty crazy. It was just like but I feel like I kind of the question I was asking like kind of did start to actualize like I felt like it started to kind of look like it worked my approach where it was like kind of asking questions or whatever, and it was kind of like almost like a weird thing where like where I would watch a video, I kind of would just think like, what if I did that? What if I did this? And the very scrambled way in the beginning, like I got to do that, in like real life,
Mhm.
and then after, I yeah, I was working with PP Mass on a couple catches, and I totally learned how to do it through PP Mass. Learned how to do catches, and
Let me just say this, by the way, and not to interrupt you, but you brought up a good point. So few people know that Jay was up down here in Florida a while back ago, and I got the chance to like see him at work and what he does, right? Catching predators. I seen the action up close in person, bro. This dude is a master sergeant at what he does. He's really, really good at you know what I'm saying? Like the strategy the way he goes about it, the way he does it, the way he actually, you know, makes the meetups happen and all that. I'm like, yo, like that's crazy. I did not know. He makes it look and he makes it seem like really easy. You know what I'm saying? Like, because when I try on my end over here, the times that I've tried, I was like, yo, like no one's taking the bait, or like no one's like, you know, like waiting for like a meetup right away. This is crazy. I don't know how Jay does it, but yo, he's really good at it. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you for that.
No, I mean that's actually true. That's actually a really good point because decoying is a way more frustrating than you would think. It's not like, oh, you just like log on and then the predators hits you up. I know people wouldn't think it's that easy, but like there's times where you would think like you have like a predator and it's totally gonna meet, and you have to remain impartial too. You can't be like trying to get the predator because that would show like you're trying to like almost be on borderline entrapment. Like you can't like show you have to actually establish um okay, there's a lot to answer, a lot to get into today. Um,
Say what you were gonna
yeah,
say, and then you'll get to
yeah,
that.
yeah. Yeah, so it's just like times like, something that happened recently was like I was gonna drive like 2 hours and everything, and it was like almost like in the area, and then the predator was just supposed to meet, but to cross state lines, meaning that the best thing you can do is get a predator to cross state lines because they'll invoke the FBI because it would be federal jurisdiction. And local police kind of are tied up, so it kind of makes it so that you kind of avoid the local police. Not that they're not doing a good job, but because the FBI they have way more resources for it. Um, but yeah, what was I say? Um, but yeah, yeah, but like decoying though, like and about to get a catch, like that's like the hardest part of it. And I actually put out a live where I just showed like how long it takes to decoy or whatever. I'm gonna try to turn that into a video, but it'll show like how frustrating it is. Like you'll feel like you're waiting like all day for like nothing, and then
Mhm.
like your schedule ends up like working around like predators that don't show up for like the catch or whatever. And yeah, it's very tough, very monotonous. Yeah.
Yeah. And yo, once again, now that you just brought that up and said that, a huge, huge major shout out to anyone doing decoy work out there. I don't care who you are. I don't care which channel you're a part of. I don't care what profile you have. I don't care if you're doing decoy work. You know, you have the whole community's respect, support, because being a decoy in this field, not easy, very time consuming, very gross. There's a lot of, you know what I'm saying, pictures you got to look at, you know, and there's a lot of screen records you got to go through. There's a lot of nasty conversations you got to do. So if you're doing decoy work out there, once again, I don't care who you are. I don't care what channel you're a part of. I really don't care. We have mad respect for you. We have nothing but love and support for you, period. All right. So a huge shout out to all the decoys out there. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah. Craziest thing is I never like ever would have considered being a decoy or whatever. It was kind of like it's true that like I look very young, but I was like I would kind of imagine like a decoy to be like because I watched like To Catch a Predator a lot. That would be like someone who like would be like some kind of like upcoming actor. Maybe they're like 18. They look for like could pass like a teenager or whatever. That's kind of who I would think of would be a decoy. Um, but I was like, I did look young, but I was like a 26-year-old Uber driver, and that would be like just anyone that would kind of know me would be like that would be like the last thing I would do. But um, like it kind of was like brought up, and I kind of thought about it, and I kind of said like as long as I'm not really doing anything because all you're doing is you're just kind of like posed as like a 14-year-old, just by appearance or whatever. Um, and you just kind of talk back to them, and you don't kind of say anything, of a sexual nature or anything. You kind of just kind of like maybe you would ask questions back. You kind of make it so that you're not saying anything. That's kind of how it is. So it's not like. So then when I kind of realized it's what Deagon was actually like, then it kind of would be okay if it meant like I still would feel weird about it, but I guess where I made the decision to was like if me just feeling weird about it is a trade off to actually getting a predator and many predators, it became worth it, and then also to even maybe make an organization and then for the movement, it became worth it, kind of. Um, so yeah, that's kind of would be like what Geek
Yeah,
learned.
yeah, man. I mean, I agree 1,000%. Like, listen, there's moments and there's things that come across in this line of work, or field, or the movement itself, where you're like, hold up, bro. Let me think about that. I'm not too sure if I want to do all that and whatever. But there's times where it's like, I got to get past this. I got to get past like the it being uncomfortable and all that, because if that's the one hurdle between us and actually getting this predator like caught, you know what I'm saying, and having get him some time in jail or whatever, then like, I gotta push through. You know what I'm saying? And that should be the mindset for anybody who's out here doing this. Is like, you know, small prices to pay for a bigger result, or for any result to that matter. You know what I'm saying? It's things that you just have to like just push through with.
Yeah, it kind of
Um,
feel. Oh,
yeah, no, go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, no, I mean, it kind of feels like weird at first, but then it becomes like a situation where you're like, all we're doing is we're probing a predator, and then we're just turning that into evidence. So it's almost like we're just like a probe. So kind of something that starts weird, and then kind of just turns into like we're just like a probe basically. That's it. Kind of turned into that. You kind of like you get freaked out in the beginning a little bit, but then you get it kind of you get kind of desensitized to it over time, where
Mhm.
you're just kind of doing it like kind of by the book and everything, and just like executing it. That's kind of
Right.
how it becomes. But definitely at first, it's a lot. It's like very dramatic. Especially my first catches, they were like the craziest catches. There's a catch where uh, you know, um, I kind of went missing in a hotel room with a predator. I've saw that one. Probably have. Yeah. Um, it was like, I guess it was a misunderstanding where I thought like he was gonna be like outside or whatever. No, I think it was that the predator said he wanted to sit on the bench, right? So that was kind of the plan. Just talk to the predator, then you know, the other predator catcher comes up, asks them questions, they do the sting, but then the predator catcher just like power walked to the hotel room, and then when I realized I'm outside the lobby, like how would how would he necessarily know where I'm at? Then I realized like this is a gone wrong sting. So it's like it's kind of like it's kind of like good example of like what we all need to do to kind of learn from each other. Where if no one else if no one else learns that lesson, then someone else won't, and then it could be worse for them. It's like we all got to kind of put our heads together on this one, and do it the best way we can do it.
All right, all right.
That rules.
So, okay, let me kind of like, I have a question, and I'm really glad that it's with you, because you already mentioned how involved you are with like the journalistic side of things, right? Um, from the first catch up until now, and I think that you're the first person that I've ever asked this to, period. But from the first catch up until now, have you learned, or created or formulated like newer questions? Because there's questions that are typical. You know what I'm saying? The typical like opener, like, oh, why are you here to meet a 12-year-old kid or whatever?
Yep.
Do you know what that does to the minor? There's like a line of questions that are already like usual and typical, but have you
Yep.
been able to like formulate any type of new questions that are,
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
Yeah. So our questions are actually very different. It's like is 'cause I watch like I saw like the elements of the law and everything, and like what exactly needs to be proven, and also like a lot of court videos and like how like prosecutions usually happen. And what we do is we don't kind of operate from the paradigm that we're trying to talk a predator out of being a predator, because if you that's what kind of the average person would try to be like, why are you doing that? Try to like be like this horrible thing, why are you doing that? But understanding that's like almost like how their brain is like designed to be. We're not trying to like talk them out of not being a predator. We're trying to get them where they belong. Whether that would mean not necessarily ruling out treatment. If possible, we would offer it where not necessarily we're treating them, but you know if need be, it would be where we would give them a card, they would go to treatment. It actually hasn't happened before, but then we would document whether it's working and not working. And again, when it's not working, that can also be used as evidence against them. So extending, all reasonable doubt in terms of rehabilitation, in terms of intent, everything is only going to work in your favor when, they either, don't comply with that, So, the kind of questions we ask it's like there are layers to it. The first thing we would do when it's an InvCap catch is that's what we did with the Andrew catch was we ask preliminary questions where we kind of are just asking aside from why they're there, we're asking pretty much uh, do you understand that if you speak to us, this is going to be done on a voluntary basis? You know, like if
Very
you
nice.
want to record us, you can record us. Since we're recording you, if you want to leave, you can leave. If you want to
Mhm.
even call a relative to pick you up, but I will. But all of that said, we will still disclose that it's our obligation to bring it to law enforcement if there's no resolution here, because then it's kind of like seeing a hit and run and not reporting it because that person could have been a person on a police chase, could have been a drunk driver. It's like you have an obligation to report something that's either a danger to the community. So we'll be transparent about our obligation, but we'll say that how they're going to talk to us is under a strictly a voluntary basis. We're not going to be like this or the police, and I'll kind of be careful about wording it that direct, you know. But um, but yeah, so that's the preliminary questions. And then the preliminary questions it's gonna start with as simple as tell me about yourself in a job interview. And people won't be afraid to necessarily say that. But then what we're gathering is kind of basic background information. We'll even say you don't even need to be specific, but basic background information about who this person is, right? Then even um, I ask another question: how tech savvy are you? Then what that kind of speaks to is how much do they use computers? How much do they use the internet? How long are they on these apps? You know, and then you can kind of ask those kind of questions, and then you start asking questions about the app that we're on. And then we start asking about what's your experience on these apps, how long have you been on those apps, what is that your typical usage of apps consist of, and then you kind of bring it to your interaction with the decoy, and kind of give it to them, like what is your side of the story. And then it kind of gets into the questioning where you're not really trying to argue with them that they're bad, but you're trying to find out exactly in their own words, you know, why they are doing what they're doing, and get in. And yeah, they're going to deny it, but the best thing you can do is learn how to use denial. Is to give denial a voice, because when you give denial a voice, you're going to apply it to rationale and logic, and it's not going to add up. It's going to prove there's going to be inconsistencies, and then what you can kind of ask back as a question is like something I'm struggling with, something that's confusing me when you say that, and you just ask the questions back. Like if they say like um, they'll say like something like, "Oh, I knew it was a sting," you know, like I would be like, well, why would you show up to like a police sting? That's confusing to me. Or would you show up to a person who is like I remember I think Andrew he called me like a bullshitter. Why would you meet that bullshitter? That's confusing to me. And that'll show like that the person did want to meet the bullshitter. Like why would they want to meet a bullshitter?
Mhm.
So it won't add up. And don't be afraid of it not adding up. And don't be afraid of like allowing any like kind of begging the question of any kind of reasonable doubt. Because the more you kind of beg the question of any kind of reasonable doubt, the more you can kind of take that away from them in their defense. It's not like taking away from in their defense. It wasn't really there in the first place, but you're making that an important part of your questioning.
Yeah. And that I believe is the best route to go, period. Because, okay, let's leave the psychological side to, what I'm saying, psychologists and people within the field of giving advice and all that stuff, right? Because a lot of people that want to get into that side of things, like, oh, but do you know what's going on like in your head that that you decided to go through with this anyways? let's leave that to the psychologists and people in that field of line of work, and let's focus on getting answers that line that person up for easy or easier prosecution, easier, what I'm saying, opportunity to land them in jail, easier opportunities to, kind of like allow them to dig their own grave, basically, and just open up that door of opportunities of like, all right, well, I mean, all we did was ask questions. He just happened to answer all the correct things that would land him in jail and would land him, what I'm saying, in prison or whatever. So, I mean, that the way you're going about it is the way it's supposed to be. Because whether you and me and the community, whether we care or don't care for the psychological like aspect of it, some of us do, because it is interesting to like know like why, what I'm saying, they're wired the way they're wired, and what happened to them in their childhood possibly or whatever. It is interesting, but at the end of the day, that's not ultimately gonna get someone in jail. You know what I'm saying? Like, if anything, it might even help them sometimes because before a jury or before like a judge or whatever, like, oh, this person is like unstable or whatever, and there's different things that could happen putting or adding that aspect into the interrogation or confrontation of things. If you just allow the other route to take its course and have them just pretty much like dig their own grave legally is what we want and what we need to
Yep.
do. So, I mean,
Yeah.
props to you, bro. Props.
Yeah, and it's like no one can say anything is illegal if we're getting our information voluntarily, legally, and ethically.
Exactly.
Like, just think about this. What is illegal or bad about asking someone a question on their own terms? I mean, like it's not illegal to um lie about who you are. Oh, sorry, should I read the comments?
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was actually gonna bring this
Oh,
up, Courtney, but she beat me to it. But yeah, she wanted me to let you know this, that the plug that she had mentioned to you beforehand or whatever is about to take fruition. All right.
oh,
So
wow. Appreciate
yeah,
that.
yep. Thanks,
Yeah, I really
Courtney. Thanks
appreciate
for
that.
letting me
Yeah.
tell him, Courtney.
Yeah, I think her catches are great. They're like kind of like a couple doing catches and everything. Like, they have like a good system going on. They have like, really interesting catches where I think that, it kind of turned into like where she's kind of like interviewing the predator
Mm-hmm.
and asking like direct questions about like why they're there and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that, she is very well, with her team and everything. And yeah, I appreciate the any support of the movement.
Yep. Now, all right. So let's get past the I want to get to some questions that really do challenge you because you seem like a very intelligent person and or a very knowledgeable person as well. So let me ask you this, man. And I'm gonna try to modify the question a little bit so that it's not the same old because I have asked this question before to different catchers, but um what do you believe, okay, is a fair um, disciplinary act within the justice system, okay, for these predators and pedophiles? What do you believe is? Let me break the question down. That way you can kind of like digest it a little better. So, as far as like punishment goes, okay, what do you think or believe to be number one the fairest way to go about it? Okay, and number two, the most effective way to go about it when it comes to punishing these criminals. A lot of people say castration, chemical castration, life in jail. There's a lot of like things that people put out because emotionally, you want to see these types of criminals getting the worst punishment because obviously, you know what I'm saying? Like if you did that to a child, then you're like the worst of the worst. But for someone like you who's in the whole like legal aspect of things, the whole political aspect of things, what do you deem to be uh, the most fair type of punishment for that type of criminal? And number two, the most uh, effective. And when I say effective, I just mean like, let's say you did whatever punishment you did, right, to that person. Now, any other criminal in the world watching what's going on and how that type of criminal is being punished sees that and is like, whoa, I got to watch out. I got to kind of like, like cool it, or, get my life straight or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, so here's the thing. I mean, I would be for like actually giving them a chance to deter their behavior if there's room for that. But given like it's a personality disorder, it's not really much of a question of like we're gonna put this bad thing here to make you stop doing that thing. Yeah, that kind of work with some things, but it doesn't really like they're kind of just designed to be that way. Honestly, that's kind of what the science says. We can afford them the opportunity to change, but the research does kind of say that they're just kind of like that. Um, so yeah, so it's kind of like where I would say we would need to kind of think about is just what is their danger level of the sex offender? What is their kind of risk level? And then deal with that. Best thing I would say if they were like a sex offender or something like that or pedophile is to actually come forward as if like they're a virtuous pedophile, right? Um, you know, where they're saying that's what they're like, and then they could have the government kind of deal with them beforehand, where they wouldn't like be any kind of invasion of their privacy with anything else. So if they were like committing any other crime, that would not be like surveilled, but it would be something where they would be surveilled, and if they were to act on it, they would be stopped beforehand, and the onus would be on the government to stop them. So it's kind of like really like this. I would kind of vision something like not even kind of considering that it's kind of like there's almost like a concept of no self that kind of exists, like where you kind of would just look at what they're predisposed to do and then creating a system to prevent it from happening. And pretty much if they've are already offended, I would say that for a lengthy period of time, they should be out of society or pretty much indefinitely, unless we have some kind of way of dealing with that risk level. So it's mainly going to be more of a question of preventing risk level than punishment, but somewhere punishment can have its place.
Very interesting. I mean, that's very well put, man. That's the first time. I mean, obviously, like I said, I modified the question to suit, how you're able to respond to it. But regardless, that was really well put. That was really good. All right. So, how long do you think you're gonna be able to like keep this up? How long do you think NBCAP is gonna like keep doing this, catching predators, doing decoy work,
Well, I kind of look at it as like we got to kind of we're not gonna necessarily just be doing the same thing. Is as it gets scaled up, it could kind of go into other areas where we might be coordinating catches that we're not even at. Kind of maybe hopefully in the future overlooking other branches, um, but kind of forming kind of as an organization. But definitely, I would want to kind of be doing the same kind of journalism, but I feel like with anything, the scale could go up where the activities would kind of change as it's happening. We're not necessarily like doing the exact same thing, but I mean, I kind of want to just continue doing it indefinitely. Like sometimes there's certain obstacles gets in the way. But I always kind of want to just kind of continue and just keep at it until um, kind of the what I want to see going into it, uh, gets resolved. And also, I kind of forgot to. I don't know if I did mention it, but yeah, there was a question about like other people involved in MVCap. Um, you know, Behind the scenes, there are people involved. The person I started with, he was my associate in the Berkshires, and he's pretty much just as responsible for it as me. It's just kind of like I'm the one that chooses to not be anonymous. But he was kind of really the person that was kind of going with me on catches in the beginning, and we kind of both did catches. We put our heads together, and we were really on the same page and everything. And I want to do catches with him in the future. So like he was kind of the person I started with. I just kind of can't say who he is, but also there's been people like Locksmith and people that kind of just came out of the woodwork to help MVCap kind of grow on its mission. Like he actually formed Locksmith actually created a Discord for us, and I had no idea how about Discord, so he kind of helped us with that, and a lot of people kind of just are coming kind of together and working with each other to kind of and yeah, I think that's a great thing. So it's good to see kind of like us kind of going together, but I also do have an associate that started MCAT with me.
Now, let me ask you this, bro. What do you think is like a missing piece, okay, um, to help propel not only your channel, okay, not only your catches, not only your confrontations with these predators, but what do you think would take or help propel the movement itself forward? Like, what do you think is not being done, that could be done or should be done within the movement to help not only get more exposure for it, but like help it get to a higher level of legitimacy, a higher level of professionalism, a higher level of effectiveness? Like, what do you think is missing?
That's a very tough one. Because like there are gonna be some people that are just gonna be like it's gonna be just in the mold to just not support, not support predator catching. They're just attorneys that are just gonna have to follow like the um what is it called? Like is the word lockstep? I think like they're gonna to just, you know, kind of take the position of their leader. They're not going to go against the mold or whatever. But
Mhm.
some people do occasionally, from time to time, go against that. Where they're not kind of going with like some districts. I remember there was like a lawyer or something in Muxus County, and I was kind of shocked because it was on the news, and usually the news they say horrible things about predator catchers. Um, but he actually said there is just an argument that he is just a witness of a crime, and it can be legitimately done to gather useful information for law enforcement in this way. And I thought that was like I was kind of almost shocked by that. That like he was willing to kind of come out and say that because literally like any lawyer would pretty much not want to give people advice. Like if you kind of I remember calling people up like trying to figure out how to do this right way. It's a nightmare. No one wants to give any kind of information at all, but I guess we got to keep trying, and like I guess like a main thing we can do is we can always go to our legislators and try to pass a bill or get a bill or initiative started. And I think we should kind of really be talking to our local, state, and politicians because most of those kind of laws are decided on that level. And also, let's say we have like a district attorney that doesn't take our cases. Um, we need to uh, you know, uh, like put like they're elected officials. So if they're district attorneys that are taking our cases, we make it publicly with put all the evidence out that hey, this person's not prosecuting this, not because they're saying that there's not enough evidence for it, but they have said that they've chosen to decriminalize this kind of child molestation because it happened to be uncovered by a journalist that they don't approve of, that they have a bias. So then they're using their bias to undermine their job that we pay them to do. So we need to hold our elected officials accountable, and that is included in judges and district attorneys and state and local legislators.
That is, bro. That you figuratively, because not literally. A lot of people made the mistake of saying literally. No, no, no. You figuratively hit the nail on the head, bro. You really did. I believe the last person to bring that up, very very similar to what you said, but not quite as detailed as you just did. I think was Ghost from CC Unit. He brought that up. He was basically saying like like there's just prosecutors who just don't they don't want to do it because they don't want to, or they don't approve of like the methods, they don't approve of the people doing it, etc. But what you're saying is you're taking it a step further, and you're basically saying let's put those people on blast. That would be a very effective way to go about it, because Now you're putting them in a position where you're putting them out in the open in public, you're placing them on a platform, and you're saying, look, everybody, all this is going on, and these child predators and molesters are getting away with it, not because there's no evidence, not because there's no proof, not because there's no information that was, caught by journalism. No, 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 not because of any of that. Okay, because simply they don't approve of either the people, the person, or the group, or the way that it was done. What should we do with them, guys? What shall we do? Let the people decide for themselves after putting them, what I'm saying, in the public eye
Yep.
and saying, I don't know. It seems to me that what we're paying these guys to do, which is pretty much uphold justice, it's not being taken care of, and they're not taking it seriously because we're taking it seriously. We're going out there on the field and doing what we do. What are they doing? Oh no, because it wasn't one of our people. Oh no, because it was
Yeah.
vigilante work. Oh no, because it was nah, bro. They
Yeah.
they gotta be put on blast. I agree with that 1,000%.
Yeah.
And you, sir, brought a very great point. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's kind of like they want to be like, kind of like smug and like standoffish then about like not taking any cases from predator catchers. But if you think about it, um, people really do like want to see this happen. They want to see child molesters exposed, whatever. And as far as like there could be like some people being like, all right, how do we know they're doing it the right way? We're trying to figure that out, but like I feel like the most people are on our side, and that if these smug politicians want to be like, oh, we don't like this, we don't like that, you know, they have to answer to their constituents, and that's the same people that I think that kind of have our back, and we need mobilizing a political movement makes it so that they can't afford to continue to be in their position without hearing our concerns and issues. And also, just like one point I kind of want to make about vigilantism is any kind of vigilantism, um, any kind of vigilantism that has ever existed throughout history, right, happens when there's a vacuum of any kind of law and order. I think you're about to agree, but there's some kind of vacuum of law and order, right? Let's say we're making this kind of crime legal. We're not doing anything about it. Then what happens is just like let's say it's kind of like the same argument against having no government. Then where there's a vacuum that exists that government's supposed to be, something else will take its place. And you mean to tell me we're gonna have these videos out there, right? That we have the right to do. They can't really say they're gonna stop us. We're gonna put them on video, right? Live catches, all of that, and they're going to deliberately tell you that that child molester is not going to get prosecuted, then what do you think that vigilantes could possibly do to that predator? So that's actually creating real vigilantism when they're smugly saying that they're thinking they're going to fight it. So that's like the craziest thing to me is they're they're creating vigilantes by creating the vacuum. Yeah.
Sir, let me take my hat off to you. That was a very great explanation of that. And I do apologize for my thinning hair, but I had to give my respect to Ryan here. That was a brilliant observation, a brilliant commentary right there. Yes, that would be correct because especially back home on the island in PR, right, where I'm from originally, Puerto Rico. If that were to go that way over there continuously, let me just say this: no predator would be safe. Not even in their own home, not even in their own neighborhood, not even in their own room. They would not be safe. Period. Because trust me, the people will say, "Oh, the government's not going to take care of this. Okay, we'll take care of it for sure. Yeah, all right." And
Exactly.
we'll be waiting for him outside with baseball bats and other stuff. We'll take care of it.
Yeah,
So
so
that's good, bro.
they think they're trying to discourage vigilantism, but they're literally creating it. Like that's exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah, that is true, bro. And that, not to get too, what I'm saying, like childish here, but it's pretty much kind of like what happens in like comic books and all these like superhero type scenarios. It's like, come on now. Batman. Why does Batman exist? Why does Gotham have or need Batman? Because law enforcement and the legal system is failing that city. All right, so then Batman has to step in, do it his own way, etc. It's the same thing, but in real life. It's the same thing, but in real life. All right.
Yep.
So getting past that, is there anything that you particularly would like to do differently within your catches that you believe would make them more effective, more I don't know, um, I don't want to say original, but let's just say do it in a way where it's obviously like more effective, but kind of like gives you as a catcher more of a strength within the confrontations and within like the interrogation part of things. Is there something that you think you have to change or would like to change to make that happen?
Um, yeah, me and I guess like just operating in the paradigm that we're operating from. Um, you know, to I can never learn enough about the law, right? I kind of want to really welcome like MVCap this thing MVCap can have right now is someone with any kind of legal background, like maybe a lawyer, like tell us what we need to know because all I can do is I can research on my own and guess almost what the law is. But I mean, I've looked at the law pretty extensively, but like I want even if they can remain anonymous, whatever it is,
Hmm.
like give us information where we need the information so that we can actually because there's so much questions I have like I had in the beginning like if we put out a catch where it's not blurred out would that hurt the case how would that hurt the case what's the legal precedent of that all kinds of questions that I have that I want to answer so things I kind of would do differently would be influenced by better information which we're kind of desperate for we really need our information so MCAP is really asking for anyone kind of in any kind of professional background like that for as much information as possible.
Awesome, bro. That's a really good point, man. And I honestly I haven't thought about it until you brought it up, but it's a really good point, and it would only help any one of the catchers out there. All right, so we're gonna end this in about a minute or two. I think thus far though, this has to be one of the most informative, one of the best interviews that I've had on this channel. It takes a really knowledgeable and highly intelligent person like yourself to not only express yourself the way you did, but to really add to the conversation, add to the questions. You brought up really, really good points. So it was a pleasure to like have you on here and everything. Now we're gonna move on to the last part of the interview. All right, which is outside of the catching stuff, I'm gonna ask you 5 random questions, like lightning
Yeah.
fast. All right, and you only have about 5 seconds to answer each question. There's gonna be 5 questions in total. All right, and it's just gonna be a little fun thing. Nothing serious. It's just to get to know you a little better on a personal level. All right, and when I say go, we're gonna start. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And now, favorite cartoon?
SpongeBob.
I
That's where I
thought
make
I
all my
saw that
memes.
one coming. All right, favorite book?
Uh, I
Three,
have no idea. Can't think
two,
of that.
one. Let's just say Sports Illustrated. All right, best movie?
Maybe Limitless.
Limitless.
Movie
That's a good one.
Limitless.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
All right, favorite TV show?
I don't watch TV. I haven't in like 10 years.
Oh, very nice. That's very good. That's very good. All right, and favorite food?
Maybe Pizza from New York.
All
I go to New York City. Little Italy. Recommend that.
right. All right. And last but not least, who thus far is your favorite interviewer?
Uh, Jada Q has to be Jada Q. You know.
I appreciate that, bro. You didn't have to say me. I wasn't like expecting you to say me, but thus far, I'm like, I think almost one of the few, if not almost the only one. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, but
Ryan, yeah.
and also I saw like Chris Roach. He's also a really good interviewer. Like he has like I think he's like very good about like I heard he's gonna like have like victims like speak out about like their experience and everything. So I think like he has a huge value in the community as well. Because like that can also be a part of getting convictions, like getting people to come out with their stories like within the statute of limitations, whether where they otherwise wouldn't. That's has a way more weight than people would think. So he does a great job too. Looking forward to talking to him in the future. And yeah.
All right, all right. Would you consider coming back to this channel to to a stream, not necessarily for an interview or like a second part, but like just to kind of like review catches together at some point, just for the fun of it, just for the
Yeah.
informative side of things?
Oh yeah, I did last time. Yeah, it was fun. Cool.
This is true. This is how we kind of like formally met. It was last one of the last streams. Bro, is there anything you want to tell to everyone that's watching this right now, whether it be for now or for future reference? You know, anything that you want to add or that you want to just kind of like a PCA, like PSA, public service announcement type of thing.
Don't do crack. No, I don't know.
Crack is a hell of a drug.
I don't know. I mean, like I don't know. It's like speak it to one another. I don't know. Gather information. You're a predator catcher. You know, kind of a scrambled answer
there. All right, so I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that, and I'll let you ponder in your lonesome for like another stream. Like I got it, JDQ. I was thinking about this last time, and I just had trouble, but now I got it. But I'll let you bring something up next time.
All right.
Is there any plug of like social media that you want to like plug into the stream? That way people know where to find you, like on Instagram or if you have a
Pretty much just
Facebook.
our YouTube channel. Like it's
Okay.
pretty much where all our content is. Kind of learning everything else, but yeah, I don't know how I would plug that though. If I like paste it in the link or whatever.
I mean, yeah. So if one of the mods can bring up the link in the chat area, but I mean, it's pretty straightforward for the most part. But I will add the link that they will provide from your channel on screen. That way, people can see it like it's like in their face, and there's no way of like missing it. So there we go. All right. So there goes the link right there.
That's the best way to get watch any kind of catches or anything like that. Yeah.
Yep. Now, very quick before I let you go, I've got people here in the chat area saying like, "Yo, where's he at? Why does his screen look that way? Is he like, hanging off the wall? What's going on there? Like, where is he at?"
Oh, yeah, I'm kind of away from home for a while. Kind of with family for a little while. And yeah, kind of yeah, I'm gonna be going back. That's pretty much it. It's like they're really far away, so it's like that's kind of why. Extended period of time.
Got you. All right, bro. If there's nothing else you want to add, then I will start closing this up. But before I do, if anybody has a question in the chat area, a serious question though, okay, a serious question for Ryan or the interview and all that. Now is the moment to like put it in the chat area, and I'll pass it along the screen. He'll see it, and we'll try to get that question answered. All right. Anybody has questions? You have about 2 minutes to do so. So, any questions? We have until 1:35 to do it. What?
Oh, I spilled the water around me.
Listen. I'm. And by the way, bro, you don't have to answer them. You can just be like, "I plead the fifth" or something like that.
I'll answer. Wait, do I just like read them and answer? Like,
Yeah, I mean, well, I'll pull them up. I'll put them on the screen for you.
Oh,
And
okay. Oh, okay. I
I'll
got
put
it.
this last one over here. Let me put this one back up, and then you can answer if you want.
What do you mean pronouns?
I don't know. I'm gonna assume this person is trying to get to know, like, I don't know, your romantic side of things. I guess I don't know. I'm assuming here.
I don't get it. I don't even get it.
Let's skip that one. Let's go to this one.
Just cheese. Yeah.
Just cheese.
No.
Right. I actually have a question myself. How tall are you?
How tall am I?
Mm-hmm.
I say this a lot too. People forget. I'm like 5'4". 5'4".
Oh, nice. Yeah. All right. And all right. It's already 1:35. So since there's no actual questions, I'm going to end this and wrap this up. Ryan, bro, thanks for being here, man. I really do appreciate your presence in here. Like I said, you have to be like one of the best interviews, if not the best interview I've had thus far on this channel. Very informative, very straightforward with the answers, very, very knowledgeable. And yeah, thanks for gracing us with your presence. You're a very cool guy to talk to. And yeah, man, I'm pretty sure everybody in the chat area like loves and has none but respect for you and supports you. All right. And yeah, bro, thanks for being here. And you have a good night. All right. Get your rest and keep doing what you do. All right.
Yep. Good interview.
All right, bro. Stay blessed and safe. Peace.
All right.
All right. So, yeah, that was a really, really good interview. I'm not surprised it went that way because, yeah, I could see right off the bat the other day on the stream, he's very intelligent, very, sophisticated, if you will. And, yeah, it was a great talk. It was a great conversation and a lot of information to kind of like pretty much let it sink in and all that and digest. Anthony L is saying keep streaming. Fraser, appreciate that, bro. Thank you, appreciate that. Oh my God, yo, y'all are silly. Y'all are silly. By the way, guys, since I'm not doing this as often as I usually would like to do, if some of the mods can bring up some of the links, that way you can help your boy JDQ keep this channel up, keep me doing what I do on here, keep bringing in predator catchers and interview them, get to know them on a personal level, and allowing the public eye to pretty much like make their own mind and opinion based on how these predator catchers answer the questions and all that good stuff. And obviously, yes, if you're not subscribed to NVCap on YouTube, please do so. I don't know how he's not at 1,000 subscribers or more yet, but yeah, definitely go ahead and do that for sure. And yeah, that being said, yeah, if the mods want to leave the links up there for like the different stuff on the channel and how you can help your boy JDQ and this channel keep moving forward. There's plenty of links to help you help me if you want to and can. And yes, Matt Jones. If you're not following Matt Jones on Instagram, go ahead and do so immediately. All right, go ahead and give him a follow, give him some support. And yes, sir, I appreciate that. That is my Cash App. If you're wanting to bless me or bless the channel directly, that's one way of doing it. That's one of the most direct ways of doing it. It helps me out, it helps the channel out. There's no way of going around that. And the other way is through here, all right, PayPal and all that good stuff. So that being said, I'm gonna let y'all go. And I'm going to call it a night with the stream. I think possibly Alex might be on a stream later on tonight. I'm not sure. I can't confirm that, but it could be. All right. So yeah, that being said, love y'all. God bless every single one of you guys, and thank you each and every one of you for showing up, showing support, love, respect, and all that good stuff. You guys are great, and I will always say it. You guys are the best supporters, the best subscribers, and I got nothing but love for you guys. So that being said, y'all, God bless. Peace out. Love y'all, and until the next time, peace out.